Summertime, when most of us traverse into this place called the outside world. Baseball games to watch, concerts and live events to see. Possibilities are endless. What if I were to tell you that over 70,000 of them were at your fingertips? Welcome to the world of SeatGeek, the sponsor of this video. The resale market can be a perilous place, but their app is my go-to for a big reason. And they succeed in getting me to any event of my choosing without fail. Their app sorts all tickets from red to green on a 1 to 10 scale. It offers me a view from where I could be sitting. Plus, every ticket on SeatGeek's backed by their buyer guarantee. Summertime also means using the code TREE to save $20 off your first purchase. My friends, SeatGeek and summer go together like the 4th of July and fireworks. Seriously, it's perfection. But now onto the video. The NHL playoffs have staked their domain. I was kinda underwhelmed with these playoffs, but to be fair, a lot of teams overachieved. Most of them simply ran out of gas in the end. Game 7s were few and far between, but more than a few teams boast of this year's exploits and triumph. Yet some may have reached the gates of hell with their failures. Those that have fallen in the gauntlet have a tale to tell. Let's hear of their pitfalls. You know, I wasn't gonna say anything about the Kings. They simply bullshit their way to the playoffs due to a weak Pacific and pity points. I'd show some footage of them getting their ass kicked by a real team and call it a day. Until Ken Holland opened his fucking mouth with some of the most inane shit I've ever heard. I did nothing wrong. Really, Ken? You serve as Edmonton's vassal state and your record here's supposedly clean? No issues whatsoever. Awesome, you landed ass backwards into the breadman, and suddenly that makes it okay that this season was uninspired as all hell. The only things comforting you are a thorough sweep and the final farewell to Anjay. Until he becomes a team executive in the future, then runs the Kings into the ground for 5 subpar seasons before being canned. Good work, Dallas. You allowed the Wild to break their April curse. And honestly, it was a very convincing series win. For once in their damn lives, Minnesota was able to give a big fat double bird to the decaying body of Norm Green in real time. And quite frankly, if Dallas wasn't on the power play, they were getting swept into a storm drain. All that talent and you can only score 2 goals 5-on-5 all fucking series? You're supposed to have these stars in Harley Davidson and Super Miko, and they all but no-show because they had major injuries. The fans are gonna blame Otter for his subpar performance, and he deserves scorn, but even if they had his prime form, they weren't winning. Jim Nill's supposed to be this outstanding GM, yet he treats his right-handed defenseman slots like they're hockey's Frankenstein. Tyler Myers was trash and got benched? Anyone that saw him in Vancouver could have told you that. And now you have a gigantic Jason Robertson dilemma you have to solve and nothing close to a cup to show for it. Also, Jamie Benn, keep looking at the flowers in the distance, please. Oh my god, Utah, what the fuck was that? Vegas had no goaltending to speak of. How the fuck do you keep choking away leads at will? All you needed was the ability to fucking finish a game and you win against the boogeyman easily. Vegas was behind the 8 ball in 5 of 6 third periods. You had them by the throat in many circumstances. You were supposed to be the heroes that hockey Twitter would celebrate for millennia to come. And the Zammoth broke down, spilling oil on the ice. Look, Utah, I'm not angry. I'm happy for this long moribund group finally getting some real hope for once, but they need more to hit the next level. That means an upgrade over Karel Vejmelka. This playoff proved it, he's not gonna get him deep. The Mammoth will be back though, that's not a question. Especially with that prospect pool and the young core continuing to emerge. Can't say the same for most of hockey Twitter though. Puck bunnies on there are having a catastrophic meltdown over their hypothetical Pandora's box being opened. We, as honest, good-looking fans of the hockey world, need to start a GoFundMe for Connor and Leon's freedom. The fact that they make consecutive finals appearances in spite of the sheer ineptitude of management at every turn is a carry job that even Atlas would fail. It was a terrible year masked by a pathetic division. Connor himself called the Oilers average after the fact. That's being pretty damn generous, Mr. McDavid. What is goaltending? You killed off Stuart Skinner, but you never killed the idea of him. And while you hate watching Pittsburgh, Anaheim out fucking Edmonton at every turn. Especially with the Oilers' pathetic excuse of a back end. Also doesn't help that every center they had was without a limb or two. Even McDavid. Yet all Oilers fans will whine about is the end of Game 4. Puck was in the net, Edmonton. Shit, even Calgary's laughing at you for that meltdown. Avoid reality all you want, but the Oilers are pissing away a generational window gifted to them by the gods. McDavid and Draisaitl are pissed. Stan Bowman and Ken Holland have squandered them with bad move after bad move. Break glass in case of emergency. Edmonton's publicly killing off Chris Knobloch in the Ice District Plaza. Oh, you're not getting Bruce Cassidy, you're only getting a placebo. If anyone's shocked by how this series played out, raise your hand. Yeah, nobody should be. Mediocre team gets shoved out of the building by a more talented group. A predictable smack back to reality. To be fair, a lot of us didn't expect Boston to make it to the dance. And they didn't really prove us wrong with how they got brisket-style smoked by Buffalo. The only reason why this was even close to a series was Boston. When Swiggity Swayman was needed at his best, he was pedestrian. When they needed McAvoy in the depth to produce, they were completely non-existent. When they needed to win at home, they laid eggs at TD Garden. It was simply a celebration of all things Sabres. And the hockey world was rooting for them. Far too damn long since they've been here. Boston, you had a relatively successful season. Just bow out with some grace. And they couldn't even do that. When we say take a pound of flesh, we don't mean Charlie McAvoy doing his best Marty McSorley impression. God bless the boys club. May you pray to the altar of James Higgins to get you out of the mushy metal. This serving of pasta's not exactly pleased he's without a cup. This was the most 2010 Washington Capitals coded series I've seen since a man named Yaroslav Halak stole that team's dreams. What could have been the last breath of a former dynasty required them not falling flat on the first charge. They laid another dud at the altar of April. Even for all the lightning skill and pedigree, Tampa had fits with the youth and speed of Les Canadiens. There's one man that will continually haunt them for the short term. Jakub Dobeš. He played out of his damn mind, shutting down nearly every star for Tampa when the lights were brightest. Yet there was still an out. Game 6 seemed like they finally broke through the Dobeš wall, winning in overtime to get to Game 7 in the glories of Amalie Arena. Humiliation on a national scale. 9 shots all game for the Habs. 9! They're drunkies that do that in one sitting and live to tell the tale. The Lightning couldn't. They keep grinding Vasilevsky into dust during the regular season, and he couldn't match Dobeš in any way. You need a better fucking backup than Jonas Johansson, boys. And quite honestly, having Hedman probably doesn't change anything. If you can't break the second coming of Halak, you don't move on. It's easier to swallow with cups, but they haven't won a playoff series since falling to the Avs in 22. Tampa might unironically have to nuke it soon. Don't have any words.
Yes, he's back. Back again. Sends our back. Yes, he sings. They created a monster, cause nobody thought we'd be good enough to make it Becky, but then did ya? Well, if you want Becky, this is what we'll give ya. A little tips to mess with some shit. So you want the ease, I think you're the master, but you know we're younger. And we're faster, better call your mom and call your master. You miss my lips like a drum.
That was pathetic.
Resting everyone for the final game should be getting a lot more heat than it is. I get the idea of healing off, but the time off sapped the pens of their momentum. And in the end, they fell to a younger and faster team, stumbling out of the gate deflating any hope whatsoever. It's hard to come back from a 3-0 hole, and Pittsburgh couldn't do it. Of course, this had to happen to one of their most hated rivals, who will never let them live it down. And Edmonton's currently running a victory lap about Stuart Skinner. At least it wasn't total embarrassment. The Pens somewhat salvaged the series. Somewhat. Archer Shelovs went back to 2024 Canucks form, playing out of his fucking mind. Pittsburgh made Philly sweat a bit, but Dan Vladar didn't pull a boner in Game 6. Cam York drives the dagger in overtime. Now the question lies with the old guard. Was this the last of the big three? The Malkin question continues to linger, and if he wants more than a one-year deal, he's probably out the door. The Tang, though? He needs to come to Jesus chat in the worst way. Excluding the last 3 games of this series, the dude's like Troy Polamalu in his twilight. Sad to watch. Crosby should be back, but there's much to be done, especially with that god-awful defense. But no matter what happens from here, Anthony Mantha, that was a fucking disaster series. Enjoy your gross overpayment by the Kraken. Why are the Wild still here? Just to suffer? Minnesota finally gets thrown a bone by the hockey gods and win a playoff series. Hope and optimism for the first time since the goddamn Obama administration, and that's the result? Feels hollow even for all the seismic moves they made. There was a downside to trading for Quinn Hughes. They had no center depth. Joel Eriksson-Ek was down for a time, they were done. You'll be shocked as to what happened. Same thing for Jonas Brodin. Colorado dominated them on all 4 lines due to it. Most teams would when your 2C is Danila Yurov or Michael McCarron. The Avs were, well, their namesake. Far superior franchise throughout most contests, merely rubbing salt in the wound. Game 5, the epitome of the series. A sudden 3-0 lead for Minnesota. A 2-goal lead with mere minutes left. The bait luring the fly into the trap.
6 skaters on the ice for the Avs. Here's McKinnon through the goal. He scores!
You know the fucking line by now.
Scores!
Best team the Wild have ever assembled ran into a damn machine. Some franchises can only have blips of happiness, apparently. Even for the painful choke of ages and a bunch of impending free agent forwards, their future should be more than fine. If they can keep quiet. Clock's ticking and there's a bomb strapped to your chest, Mr. Guerin. Get a deal done and fast. You're gonna find a way to keep Quinn, right? It honestly felt like the same story for a lot of teams that lost in the second round. Incredible seasons with the sting of defeat, but even making it to this point is a massive success. For all of Anaheim's rebuilds, stalled rebuilds, and terrible coaches, this is much needed relief. Unfortunately for the Golden Youth and promise for the future, they ran face first into a white-hot Carter Hart. There are no Connor Ingrams or Tristan Jarry to score on at will. Only the sour sounds of that fucking Vegas goal horn. It happened quite frequently with Lukas Dostal shitting the bed as often as he did. Simple proposition, better goalie usually wins. When the better goalie is a save percentage over 70 points higher, usually doesn't end well. Especially when the power play and offense in general is that flaccid. Just sneak out the back door. Nobody's really paying attention to you, Ducks. Everyone's fuming at Vegas. Even the NHL. It's unfortunate between two and upcoming teams that one has to lose. It's the inevitability of life itself. Both groups simply happy to be out of their respective long-term ruts, but in Buffalo's case, dead like them at home in the series. Or maybe they just took way too many damn penalties. The Sabres made the Habs power play look like the Lightning in their prime. But still the best series of the bunch in the second round. Not exactly saying much with all the blowouts, but it was pretty evenly matched. Jakub Dobeš seemingly running out of gas, Rasmus Dahlin leading the charge. A fight to the very end of life itself against a hated rival. Blown dead prematurely Beck Malenstein style. I wouldn't call it Brett Hull skating the crease level, but more Darius Kasparidis OT game winner sort of missing.
Headman's the puck. Shot. Score! Montreal wins Game 7!
It's always the seemingly soft shots that go through, isn't it? I'm proud of Buffalo. They finally broke the curse. They finally got a taste of real hockey for the first time in an age. This season will live on in Sabre fan lore for eternity. But this is a sting that'll be hard to cope with. Welcome back, Buffalo. Playoff pain again like the rest of us. And a dilemma about Alex Tuck this offseason. We all knew the bad old Pennsylvania Victor was getting their ass whooped by the Canes. Both franchises matched up insanely poorly against Carolina, and they dispatched Ottawa with relative ease. Dan Vladar, ooh, they're so scared. And the Solmark played like God, and they didn't even trail. Simply the better team on all fronts. Philly was as ineffective as Matvei Mishkov in this go-around. Can't really rip on him for that. The thing with the Flyers is this. Did they grossly overachieve with a PDO heater? Yeah. Am I intrigued about their future with the pieces emerging on their roster? Absolutely. Is this a season they've desperately needed for years on end? Like a man in the desert needs water. Even for getting swept, this was their best campaign in at least a decade. Plus, Porter Martone could be something very special in the long term. I just don't know if Dan Vladar's doing this again. Goalies do have weird progression arcs, though. Worst case scenario, you can shit-talk Pittsburgh for a few months. Gritty's still forcing them to obey. What a horrible night to have a curse. 2 rounds of utter domination just to be completely spanked with a rusty wooden paddle. An all-in season with everything clicking becometh a nightmare beyond human comprehension. The President's Trophy takes no prisoners. You want the glory of another cup? The only rewards are in a serious ailment to kill Makar. And Nathan McKinnon. And Val Nichushkin. The first 2 weren't even close to 50% in the end. The Knights can survive a hobbled Mark Stone. The Avs can't survive this. And the series played out like a funeral. Closed casket. The body's been burned beyond repair. Colorado unleashed maximum pain on Minnesota with a 3-goal comeback. Good news for you, Vegas whipped out Nuno reverse guard in Game 3. You get maximum pain when you were this close to tasting sterling silver. You thought you were the machine? Silly Avs, the house always wins. Vegas is the true machine. And they'll gladly grind up Brent Burns into a finely minced chunk and feed it to Denver. Their fans can pick out the beard hair when it gets to them. Jared Bednar, please step into this windowless room. There's a gun with 1 bullet loaded on the desk to your right. You know what to do from here. Something tells me that the Canadiens weren't meant to be here. I'm not saying they're frauds, but there has to be someone else that shows up for a team besides Jakub Dobeš. The Hurricanes were all but playing on tilted ice. It honestly felt like pity they even gave the Habs Game 1 to maintain the narratives. So many chances to steal games, but Montreal was a T-ball team against the goddamn 27 Yankees. In order to win a series, you kinda have to shoot the puck. I know Carolina's really strong in the defensive end, but I reckon having the least amount of shots in a 3-game playoff span isn't all that good. They showed no adoption style. You need luck to make it far, but when it's all you have, there's no chance in hell. Don't get too down on yourselves, Habs. You've got yourselves a hell of a roster for the future. But you aren't there yet. There's more development and bolstering that needs done. This series proved it. And hard choices are gonna have to be made. Mostly talking about Gallagher. Might be time to cut the cord. But that's for another day. Well done, Habs. You made your fandom proud with this run. So much for these playoffs being an epic showdown. There have been a handful of series that have gone the distance, but most of them, duds. Blowouts, sweeps, and lopsided matches all the same. Worst case scenario, outright humiliation. But it's a clean slate now. 2 teams remain. And out of the West, the league's reckoning.
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. You know why? You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
In Sin City, one mantra trumps all others. The ends justify the means. Their ruthless brutality against players, coaches, hell, likely their own significant others has made them a lightning rod. After several years of spinning playoff tires, the Golden Knights have grown weary of unsatisfactory runs. This was supposed to be an all-in year. It's why they made huge splashes for name-brand merchandise. Even the ones that got pulled from shelves for a bit due to a factory recall. But the quest for winning takes no prisoners. It only seeks solace and strength. Bruce Cassidy was a great coach for their cup run and a true boon to their efforts. Was. Now he's grown stale after a long skid and needs purged from the ranks. Mere weeks before the playoffs. To replace him, the might of Mount Tortorella. Strange move at first, but you can't deny the results. John Tortorella is really good for short-term jolts. That so-called Pacific Pillow's been loaded with bricks and stone. They knocked out everyone in their path in the process. Even the seemingly invincible Avalanche by humiliating sweep. As well as the media by proxy. Tortorella and company scoffed at them out of anger for a Braden McNabb suspension. A 2026 second-round pick and $100,000, that doesn't matter. What does is the almighty glory of victory. It's why they brought in Mitch Marner. Alleged tampering and all. Toronto wanted him gone anyway. He was a cancer, they said. Mitch has found the path that Larry Murphy and Phil Kessel trekked before him. A key contributor to their run. The Golden Knights don't give a shit about Carter Hart's past. He was cleared of all charges. As long as he can play hockey well, they're good. Unfortunately for the rest of the hockey world, Carter Hart went back to his COVID bubble form over the last 2 rounds. The kind of run that Bart's regale us with centuries down the line. They also will speak of the seemingly unbeatable Mark Stone, despite his constant wear and tear taking him out for games at a time. Jack Eichel, freshly extended as their top-flight center, continues to anchor their top line and will do so for a while to come. Ivan Barbashev still rocking in strong form like 2023 vintage. They thought Brent Burns was the former Shark to break the curse? No, it's Tomas Hertl. And their leading scorers from these playoffs from unlikely sources. Pavel Dorofeev and Brett Howden. When the hell did Howden suddenly become John Druce? It's the kind of depth that leads to a cup. People talk about Dorofeev being offer-sheeted in the offseason. I guess we'll just move on from Aiden Hill and another piece or two, be it by injury or not. Losing Alex Pietrangelo on the back end hurts. There's no denying it. However, the show must go on. And it does with strong talents like Noah Hannafin and Rasmus Andersson. They paid a premium for both of their services. And while Anderson hasn't had the impact they expected here, he's still pretty damn good. Caden Korzak's pretty damn good in his own end, too. And the original Misfits are still standing strong, even if their numbers are dwindling. Jay Theodore's the new Alex Pietrangelo, the elite asset and team leader on the back end. While Bill has returned from a long injury to provide much-needed scoring depth. Braden McNabb is their steady defensive hand, reliable in all situations. Riley Smith's back as well by proxy, even if he isn't what he was. Same goes for Brendan Saad. The bottom 6 is cerebral, malleable to any situation available. Keegan Colasar and Colton Sissons have their playoff reputations. And their skills are added to with veterans in Nick Dowd and Cole Smith. We can bitch at them all we want for how they manage their roster. The Golden Knights are utterly relentless with their quest for perfection. Feels and common decency be damned. But it's gotten results. And that's all that matters in the end. Nobody gives a shit about loyalty and player relations when they talk about cups. Vegas has not only embraced their villain arc, they feast on the tears and salt of every fan alive. The NHL's Viltrumite empire will stop at nothing for total conquest. Does anyone have a scourge virus lying around? It might be the only way to stop them. Maybe their opponent is something that can help. Oh boy, they made it. Okay, let me gather myself for a minute here. I gotta prep the voice. Me. Oh boy, my vocal cords are gonna be fucking shredded after this. Whew. Let's do this.
Return to the promised land! Years of drifting and hurricane have brought us hurricanes beyond our wildest dreams! The nectar of the cup teases us at every turn! The Panthers are gone! It's our turn to pounce on the lead! You have come to our game! And now we've rewarded you with an impeccable run! Our analytically turned mastery will offer no quarter! Absolute domination against every foe in our path! We mean... fucking... everyone! Bow to the might of the hurricane! We're still led by the other stall! Jordan!
His last Cup Finals appearance is old enough to drive.
Our core hasn't skipped a beat whatsoever! Sebastian Aho! Andrei Svechnikov! Jeff Jarvis! Jacob Slavin! And our newest weapon, Nikolai Ehlers! We're giving him minutes unlike Winnipeg! Our netminding has become a godsend! Memes transform into a Carolina Swan! Ready! He's gonna kill you in your sleep!
Seriously, he did it to Ottawa.
Brendan Bussey saved our season! Frederick's picking up where he left off! There are 3 names that should make every team tremble in fear! Lugan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, former MVP Taylor Hall! Together they form one of the deadliest lines in hockey!
Eat your damn heart out, HBK.
Elite defense molding into a hardened, impenetrable shell. Luka Keandre Miller. He's thriving out of Ranger hell. He's holding his newborn child by the ice. The fields are consuming me whole. So beautiful, man. Just like Shane Ghost Despair. And Jalen Chatfield. And Sean Walker. And Alexander Nikishin. And take this shit into my veins. The only thing you're going to be feeling are the chiseled abs around the pod. Relentless suffocating pressure squeezing you out of any sort of life you have. So much team depth it rivals a dolly painting. Eric Robinson. Jordan Martinook. Mark Jankowski. So much more. Vegas wants to pretend they're God's chosen team. But we have one of their original misfits in William Carrier. We're still a bunch of goddamn jerks.
Please direct all whining and salt to our 0 bucks given to us.
Tom Dundon will lead us to salvation.
Just don't look at what he's doing with the Trailblazers.
You will keep coming to our game. And we will come to the might of Lord Stanley. Kiss our motherfucking feet. My voice is getting shredded like the opposition. The press bonanza for a generation.
Ow! Jesus Christ, that's gonna fucking kill me. Both these teams are pretty equally matched. Analytical darlings with goaltending that's found elite form and excellent contributions from both core and depth pieces alike. Honestly, you can flip a coin on this one and have a good chance of figuring out who takes it. But for me, I believe in meme potential. I'm picking Vegas. It's gonna result in more hilarious salt from the NHL fandom. Even me. No matter who wins, the real loser in this final? Toronto. One of your old whipping boys is gonna be a key contributor to a cup run. Have fun over there.
The first captain since Wayne Gretzky in 87 and 88 to hoist the cup 2 years in a row on home ice.